Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. You know, some of the guys here on YouTube are full of themselves, right? They'll give tough opinions on fighters who are just trying to establish themselves. No one ever calls them out. Right? Guy'll be self-absorbed. He'll be talking for 20, 30 minutes in a video, ripping a fighter, criticizing a fighter, and you never really get any blowback on that. Well, let me tell you, a while ago, I did a video on a young fighter, right? Young in the game. I know he's in his mid-30s now. Guy named Lucas Browne, an Australian heavyweight. Right, Lucas Browne had just destroyed James Toney. He beat up James Toney. Right, Toney didn't have foot speed. Right, he has even less now that he's well into his career. Lucas Browne has great feet. He outmaneuvered James Toney. He used size on Toney. He used reach on Toney. So I came online, being a loudmouth here on YouTube, and I did a video where I criticized Lucas Browne, where I said, look, this guy's still raw. He's still green. I believe that video, like all the other videos, is still up. Right? I said, I just don't get it. He's using foot speed, great, but let's not crown him yet. So lo and behold, I get an email here on YouTube. Right? I'm just going through my emails and I get an email. And I'm reading the email, and it took me a while to realize that this email was from Lucas Browne. Right? Now, I believe it was from him. You know the way the trade works. A lot of people send you emails and say, hey, I'm Muhammad Ali, and stuff like that. But I believe this was really Lucas Browne, especially when I read the content of the email. Right? The guy talked about his past. He said, look, I'm new in the game of boxing. You know, you just keep an eye on me. You just watch me as I go forward in my career. I'm picking up more each and every day. So I went back and I've kept an eye on Lucas Browne. Right? I'm just here to tell you that I'm taking Lucas Browne to win the WBA heavyweight title over Ruslan Chagaev, a fighter I believe in. Right? I've watched Lucas Browne pick up the game to the point where I wouldn't hesitate to take Lucas Browne over both Charles Martin and Deontay Wilder. I think this guy is one of the fresher and one of the newer faces in the heavyweight division. I believe he's legit. Right? As I've said, he moves extremely well for his size. He has a punch where he has a greater than 80% KO ratio, right? A signature Lucas Browne fight is his victory over Richard Towers, right? Many of you were telling me about Richard Towers, right? Lucas Browne made Richard Towers look like just a tall guy with a big punch. Understand, Browne is extremely coordinated. Guys who are into kickboxing, they know how to coordinate their legs with their upper bodies. Right? Browne throws an excellent right hand from distance. He has tremendous ring coverage. He knows how to back away from the action, then he knows how to get into the action. Right? This is a guy who, in a way, reminds me of Sergio Martinez. Right, the former middleweight king, who I think's underrated in history, who picked up the game late. Martinez, you know, was playing other sports. He was a great athlete. He decided to venture into boxing, picked up the game late, and as he learned the game, he rose through the upper ranks. Keep an eye on this guy. This fight's going to be interesting because Chagaev is a southpaw. And he's much shorter than Browne, and he knows how to fight inside. And he's done well against tall fighters, right? It was Chagaev who beat Valuev when Valuev was supposed to be unbeatable, right? Chagaev is a guy who conceivably could try to get underneath Lucas Browne. I think what he's going to find out is that Lucas Browne is coordinated to the point where he has a rear skill where he can actually back up, anchor himself, and throw big punches. I'm just telling you, for a heavyweight, this guy is extremely coordinated, right? Extremely coordinated, right? So I get the feeling that as this fight progresses, if Lucas Browne is able to maintain distance from Chagaev, I believe that's an easy fight. Chagaev will not be able to deal with Lucas Browne's length, his reach, his elusiveness, his movement. If Chagaev gets inside on Lucas Browne, I believe Lucas Browne will be able to hold his own. Understand, he held his own against James Toney when Toney tried to get inside. Browne strikes me as a guy who can shorten his punches, who's actually a tactician, right? A strategist. I would expect Browne to lean on Chagaev, push him back outside, then try to hit him with uppercuts as he tries to come on the inside. Kind of like we just saw in the Luis Ortiz-Brian Jennings fight. So understand, in all of boxing, the heavyweight division right now is riveting, right? The Vladimir Klitschko era seems to have come to an end. The title has been splintered. Guys are now picking up shares of the title, right? You have some guys who, quite frankly, how they got the title is a bit of a mystery to me. Charles Martin, I'll admit, I just don't see it. Right? Then you have guys like this, and I know to the public it's just unknown fighters getting title shots. This guy has actually earned his title shot. Understand, Lucas Browne is 23-0, and he's fought tough opponents. Now, to gamblers, let's talk about the downside risks. This fight is in Chagaev's backyard. As Frez Akendo discovered, it's going to be very hard to win a decision there. If Chagaev just moves his hands, comes forward, and shows any activity. So Lucas Browne is going to have to try to win this fight by such a margin that it's like Tyson Fury, Vladimir Klitschko, where at the end of the fight, everyone in the crowd just has one basic question. Are they going to rob the opponent? Right? I think Lucas Browne, also the other problem too is, whenever you see a guy who has a better than 85% KO ratio, and he's big, right? Most of the guys who fought him fall down like trees in the forest. You always have to ask yourself the question of whether this guy is prepared to go the distance, right? Lucas Browne looks great in the early rounds. Lucas Browne in the later rounds, we really don't have a lot of film on that, right? Ruslan Chagaev has very good defense, right? Chagaev is a guy who is very hard to stop. Understand, the last time he was stopped was in 2009 by Vladimir Klitschko, right? So Lucas Browne has his work cut out for him, right? He's going to have to put on enough of a show against the house fighter to convince judges who certainly will be hearing from the crowd how great Ruslan Chagaev is, that he has earned the title. My money's with Lucas Browne here. I'm betting on the visitor, right? I think this guy has real legs. I actually believe that this guy could easily become one of the better heavyweights out there. I'm not going to put him in the Tyson Fury, Alexander Povetkin level just yet. But let's just say he's awfully close. I certainly believe in Lucas Browne, more than I believe in Joseph Parker, more than I believe in Anthony Joshua, more than I believe in Charles Martin, right? So let's see how this one plays out. I view Lucas Browne, well, put it this way. The heavyweight division has some very talented guys who have certain skill sets. View Lucas Browne as a Luis Ortiz from the outside, right? Ortiz is a master up close when you're at the chessboard. Lucas Browne is a master when he's able to extend his arms and have a little cushion between him and his opponent, right? I think in this division, given the talent levels I've seen, I think Lucas Browne is a very dangerous man. I like him here over Chagaev. Just be aware that Chagaev's going to be the hometown favorite. Just also be aware that Chagaev can fight inside, has more experience than Browne, is shorter. So he's going to try to fight a Mike Tyson type fight. Chagaev's nickname is White Tyson, right? I just feel he's going to find that he's in with a guy who's more fluid than he is, who frames what he's doing better, whose power, first off, who has power, right? The puncher in this fight is Lucas Browne. I know Chagaev looked great in his last fight. I think he knocked the guy out. Big deal, right? The puncher in this fight is Lucas Browne, right? I'm expecting Browne to take the title because he's also the more fluid fighter. He certainly has the better foot speed and footwork. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. Thanks for stopping by.